Welcome into Texans Today. I am Will Scott, and on today's show, we're taking a look at Todd McShay's latest mock draft. This time, McShay actually put out a 2-round mock draft, so we're going to break down the Texans selections, and I will react to some of those selections. But first, we got a sub-battle going on with the Commanders Report. They also just relaunched their channel, so right now we're ahead of them, but they're catching up. I cannot let the Commanders Report and Jack Sperry catch us. So if you're all about the Texans, if you want more Texans content here on Chat Sports, go and subscribe to the channel right now. As we get into McShay's mock draft, taking a look at the number 1 overall selection. Clap it up. It's not Bryce Young. It is not Bryce Young. It's C.J. Stroud. And as I've said on the show before, there seems to be a lot of momentum in terms of Stroud to Carolina, which I think is what we want if we're the Houston Texans. Number 2. It is Bryce Young. Bryce Young is a Houston Texan, per Todd McShay. This would be the dream scenario if you're a Texans fan. The guy put up massive numbers at the University of Alabama, over 8,300 yards, a 65.8% completion percentage, 80 touchdowns, just 12 picks. He won, a Heisman Trophy in 2021 that season. Taking a look at the stat difference here, this past season, similar numbers. Stroud had more passing yards, more touchdowns, one more interception. And I like Stroud as a prospect. I'm not going to be disappointed if the Texans end up with C.J. Stroud. Man, when you look at the tape, when you break down the tape, there's just something special about Bryce Young. He has the it factor. Pick a quarterback. Who would you rather have in H-Town? Type Y for Bryce Young or type S for C.J. Stroud down in the comment section. Go down, let me know. It is the pinned comment, so reply to it when you get a second. As we move along here in Todd McShay's mock draft, we'll fast forward a little bit to number 5, where Jalen Carter is the pick at 5. And we've actually seen mock drafts that have him falling all the way to number 12 to Houston. But Carter, the more and more mock drafts I'm seeing right now, have him going top 10. I don't think it's likely he falls to number 12 overall. I also saw a mock draft that had Tyree Wilson falling to the Texans at 12. I said from the jump that was pretty unrealistic. Also saw Lance Zierlein's mock draft, as we discussed yesterday, that had Tyree Wilson being the number 2 overall pick. Can you believe that? Producer Patrick Seaman, yeah. The Texans are not taking Wilson number 2 overall. He's mocked to Detroit here. And then Devon Witherspoon, a number 7 overall to the Las Vegas Raiders, the Illinois cornerback. And then Christian Gonzalez, his stock is really rising. I've seen him going top 10 in a few mocks here. According to McShay, he goes number 8 to the Atlanta Falcons. I've seen this a lot. Peter Skoronski, number 9 overall to the Chicago Bears. I do not expect the Texans to draft a tackle here in the first round anyway, though. Lucas Van Ness, the edge rusher out of Iowa, going number 10 overall. I think that'd be a steal for the Eagles. I've seen some mock drafts that Van Ness going as high as number 6 or number 7. So him going to 10, I'm sure the Eagles would be pretty excited about that. And then Jackson Smith-Njigba is the first wide receiver off the board, which is a little bit surprising. I think I would prefer Jordan Addison or Quentin Johnston, but he goes to Tennessee here. And then Nolan Smith is the pick for the Houston Texans at number 12 overall per Todd McShay. And Smith was really not even going to be a first-round pick until his pro day, but he absolutely, I should say the combine, he absolutely took over the NFL Combine, looked great his pro day as well, and he's gone from being an early second-round pick to getting some serious buzz to being taken right outside the top 10. Here he's mocked 12th overall to the Texans. Taking a look at the last 2 years for Smith, obviously the numbers are much better in 2021, but he also played in more games. 18 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 3 sacks this past season at Georgia, won a couple national championships with the Dogs. Taking a look at his relative athletic score, it is extremely high, a 9.20 grade. I mean, the vertical, the broad jump. I mean, this guy just absolutely destroyed the NFL Combine and put together a really impressive performance. Now, you can certainly argue that taking him at number 12 is a reach. I'm sure a lot of Texans fans would prefer a wide receiver instead at number 12, but I have some good news for you. in McShay's mock draft, as we fast forward to the second round, he does have the Texans selecting a wide receiver at 33 overall. That is Jalin Hyatt out of Tennessee, who is one of the best, most explosive wide receivers in college football this past season. Taking a look at the numbers, 15 touchdowns, over 1,200 yards, 67 receptions. I mean, that game against Alabama, the guy just went absolutely crazy and really put himself on the map. He's expected to be a late one, I would say, early day two type of guy. I think him going to the Texans at 33 makes a lot of sense if the Texans do not take a wide receiver at 12. But when you take a look at this wide receiver depth chart, it certainly looks a little bit different with Brandon Cooks out, Robert Woods in. John Mechie is expected to be back. That would be fantastic news if he is cleared. You also have Noah Brown that you've added to this room. So those are four pretty good wide receivers there along with Nico Collins. But you still need, I think, another wide receiver, and hopefully they draft one somewhat early in the NFL draft. Taking a look at the mock draft results from Todd McShay. Number 2 overall, Bryce Young, the quarterback out of Alabama. Nolan Smith, the edge rusher out of Georgia, number 12. Again, a lot of people might say that's a reach. I don't hate the pick. I think he's really talented. And then at number 33 overall, Jalin Hyatt, the wide receiver out of Tennessee. I'm okay with the Nolan Smith pick at number 12 if they take Hyatt at 33. If they pass on Quentin Johnston, on JSN, on Jordan Addison, for Nolan Smith, and Hyatt's not on the board at 33, that's not going to be good. Maybe they'll trade up for Hyatt. They certainly have a plethora of picks to use in trading up, so we'll see. But if these are the 3 picks, I would be thrilled. Quite frankly, it's just Bryce Young or bust for me. So Bryce Young is the pick. I'm not going to care as much who they take at 12 and 33, but hopefully they land some of those guys because those are 3 really talented guys. That would be Houston bound. Grade Todd McShay's mock draft for the Texans. Type A, B, C, D, or F down in the comment section. Go down, chime in. I'm going to give it an A-. It's an A- just because, again, you can argue that Nolan Smith is a little bit of a reach, but still, it's in the A range for me. I really like this mock draft. Bryce Young at 2. You address that edge rusher need at number 12, and then you still address the wide receiver need at number 33, going with Jalin Hyatt, who I think is really underrated. His name is not really up there with, JSN, Addison, and Johnston, in Zay Flowers even, but his name certainly deserves to be in that conversation. So I'm going to give it an A-. I like those 3 picks. Be sure to subscribe. The draft is coming up in a few weeks. We're going to have you covered on all Texans news and rumors, and we're going to get you guys more mock drafts that we're seeing. Might even do our own mock draft here pretty soon.